In the next moment, you disappear from the inner earth. You don't have much time to be grateful for the fact that you've been able to access technology capable of delivering you directly to the underground base, because you materialize in a logical but inconvenient place. It is logical because every form of transportation is within walking distance, but it is highly inconvenient because it is also the command center for the entire base. You materialize and find yourself kneeling on the floor next to a waist-high metal railing with glass panels. Disoriented, it takes you a moment to adjust to where you are, but just seconds later you duck down as low as you can, scooting away from the railing, your eyes wide open. You are on a small balcony with nothing but a wooden podium. At the back of the space, a staircase leads down to the main room below. But it doesn't seem that the stairs get much use, or that people come up to the balcony very often. Lying on your stomach, you move slowly back to the railing and look carefully into the large room below. There are men and women in military uniforms milling about, but more than anything, it reminds you of a huge university lecture hall. The space is filled with people in white-collared shirts, sitting at computers facing the front of the room. But instead of a blackboard, there is a massive screen showing the Earth. At first glance, it looks like something you would see on the news, with satellite coverage showing clouds and a bunch of tiny lights where it is obviously nighttime. But as you look more closely, you realize you're seeing the flat Earth, with the North Pole at the center, just like the cover of your compass. You can't believe your eyes. They know. All these people know the truth. You slide carefully away from the railing. You don't know what to think, let alone what to do or where to go. Nothing the portal had told you was going to help. First of all, there is definitely no one in the command center who wants what you want. And since you have no idea what to do, this or something better isn't an option. So you move toward the back wall until you can stand up without being seen by the people below. Crouching down, you walk cautiously over to the podium, when suddenly a hologram pops out asking for a fingerprint scan and showing the same map you had seen on the wall below. Frantically, you draw away in a complete panic, praying that no alerts have been activated. When no alarms go off, and you feel quite sure no one is coming for you, you contemplate the possibility that the hologram has a map of the facility, or at least something to give you an idea of where you are. But it isn't worth the risk, even in the unlikely event that you could somehow access the map. So you move to the top of the stairway and move carefully and quietly down the metal steps. You have no solid plan, and you're hoping that maybe you can just blend in when you get to the main floor by acting as if you belonged there and had some kind of mission. But in truth, you know that once you get to the bottom of the staircase, there will be no way to get past the swarm of soldiers and officers below. Coming to your senses, you turn to climb back up to the balcony when you notice an unusual patch of light. Looking up, you see a slightly opened, metal-framed window, which is part of a large facade formed of flat glass panels. Climbing up on the railing, you are able to look beyond the window, which seems to have been cracked open for ventilation, into a luxuriously decorated office. In the middle of the room, there is an elegant, dark-polished wood desk and a large brown leather couch and matching armchair atop a somber red and white oriental rug with large green plants in the corner. The room is empty, so without a thought, you push the window fully open, grab the bottom of the window frame, pull yourself up the short distance, and jump into the room. Quickly, you close the window, leaving it open just a crack, and then you hurry across the room to the door. But immediately, you hear footsteps and loud voices moving quickly in your direction. So you rush to the other side of the room, and squeeze yourself between the wall and the sofa. The door opens, and you hear a man's voice as he stands in the doorway giving orders.
"No, absolutely not. Find out right now what caused the alarm."
His voice booms. "But sir," says a younger male voice, "we checked. The cameras weren't on."
"Whatever happened, I want to know about it,"
says the older man as he closes the door. Walking heavily across the room, the man sits down at the desk and starts typing on his computer. You are lying on your back, but the couch is over 6 feet long, so you know the man won't see you unless he's looking for you. You try listening intently as he speaks on the phone, but you're not sure what he's talking about, and in moments your exhaustion catches up with you. Every cell in your body wants to sleep, and suddenly you find yourself drifting through time and space, until you find yourself once again in your Russian home. The day is perfect. The sky is crystal clear, and you are lying on the grass, feeling a faint tingle from the earth below. You are so happy to be home. It feels as if you had never left, as if you had simply woken up from a bad dream and are now relieved and grateful to discover that none of it was real. And then you feel something pressing uncomfortably into your hip. But as you feel around, nothing is on the ground beneath you. Suddenly you realize you aren't dreaming. You are in 2 places at once, and you desperately need to get back into your body before you fall soundly asleep. You imagine yourself back in the office and find yourself hovering above your body as you lay with your eyes closed behind the couch. You don't know how to get back into your body, and you're afraid that if you do, you won't be able to wake up. So you imagine yourself opening your eyes. Your body jolts slightly as adrenaline rushes through your veins, but in the next moment, you are in your body, looking up at the ceiling. You listen carefully to see if your movement has alerted the man at the desk, but nothing happens. Then you realize the pain in your hip is being caused by the compass in your pocket, and you suddenly remember Richard telling you that you could use it telepathically. At the time you doubted your abilities, but now you have no choice, so you think, minus 74.85, 16, minus 102.59, 0, 33, 0. And then, show me where I am and how to safely get to Matthew. Instantly you see yourself in the office, and then you discover that you can see out into the hall. In your mind's eye, you can see the placement of objects and the movement of people who look like tiny lights moving along the corridor. Nothing significant happens for a while, and you are about to unwillingly fall asleep when you hear the man stand up from his desk. Instantly alert, you're able to see a small light which represents him as he walks out the door. You wait until he turns the corner and goes down another hallway. You then wriggle out from behind the couch and pause at the door until you can see the corridor is clear. Just as you're about to open the door, you hear, or rather feel, the feeling to wait. You see someone walk out of one office and into another, and then in about 10 seconds you are compelled to go. But you aren't totally sure of your feelings, so you hesitate and listen at the door a moment longer, until a voice speaks clearly in your mind. Go now. You quickly slip out into the passageway, quietly close the door, and then walk as inconspicuously as possible down the hall in the direction you are being guided. Miraculously, you can hear, go left, turn right, stand in the doorway, walk, stop, bend down, tie your shoe. You can feel yourself getting closer and closer to Matthew, but it seems as if he is below you. You wait in front of 2 elevators. One door opens and closes, but you wait for the next elevator and then choose the 4th floor without waiting to be guided. The minute you step into the hall and the elevator door closes behind you, you know you've made a mistake. You turn to get back onto the elevator, but before the doors can open, alarms are blaring, and armed soldiers swarm out of every hallway. Adrenaline shoots through your body, and your mind begins spinning in blind panic as you realize you can no longer see, hear, or feel what to do next. In moments, you are surrounded by soldiers with their weapons pointed directly at you. Terrified, you put your arms in the air, but you have the presence of mind to telepathically lock your compass by thinking the code. As you suspected, you're searched and the compass is confiscated. Your heart sinks, but there's nothing you can say or do as you are escorted immediately down the corridor and into a large electric transport vehicle with no doors. As you climb in, with a guard right behind you, you see another guard is waiting on the other side of the seat with handcuffs in his lap, forcing you to sit between them. After being cuffed, a dark nylon hood is placed over your head, and your world goes black. The vehicle drives over several different types of ground. At first it feels smooth, then very uneven, the way it felt when your bus drove over a wash, and then really bumpy, as if you were crossing over cattle guards. Once again it is smooth, and the vehicle comes to a stop, and the motor is turned off. But no one moves or gets out as you just sit there, and then you realize you are moving, but you are going down inside an elevator. Down and down you feel yourself dropping, but after a while you have no sense of speed, only that you are going down for what feels like forever before coming to a slow stop. You hear the elevator doors moving open with an oddly familiar ding, as if you were in a hotel and not in some deep underground military outpost. The strong hand of your guard grasps your right arm firmly, guiding you out of the Humvee, then along a cement walkway and ultimately into a large echoing chamber where your handcuffs are removed. Then you hear the solid thudding stride of a guard leaving the chamber and the bang of a heavy door. Shaking, you remove the hood from your head only to find yourself in pitch-black darkness. Like a small animal sensing a nearby predator, you strain to listen for a sound, every muscle tensed, ready to take flight. But there is only ringing in your ears. You try to walk, but instantly feel dizzy and slowly drop to the floor. You crawl cautiously until you come to a wall. For a moment you sit there trying to calm yourself, your heart pounding heavily in your chest, and a feeling of panic rising in you as nausea brings bile up the back of your throat. A voice coming over the loudspeaker causes you to jump.
"Strip down,"
says a man's voice echoing in the expanse of the room. "I will not!" you yell, incensed, your anger quelling the panic you've been feeling. But you can't say anything more. In the dark you hear the sound of boots marching toward you, and though you try to fight off the hands that reach for you, you can't resist them. Your arms are held as your cargo pants are removed, then your underwear. Your shirt is yanked off in the next moment, and almost before it begins, you are left sitting on the floor in the dark, shivering and completely naked. A mist fills the room, and though you can't see it, you feel an ultraviolet light surrounding you as if you're being sterilized. Then the room lights up with a red glow. The voice says,
"Put on the clothes."
You see a heavy blue jumpsuit lying on the ground. Shuddering tears of rage and anger well up in you as your body shakes uncontrollably. Through sheer force of will, you try to make your body appear calm and defiant, but you feel like a shivering small animal, your body weakened by fear, as if you are nothing more than a puppet dangling from strings, with no control over anything, not your body or your emotions. Your breath comes fast and shallow as you grow dizzy and drop to your knees. With all the determination you have, you force yourself to focus. And with a deep breath, you try to steady yourself as you reach out to grasp the jumpsuit. Then stand up and step into it. The suit is a bit too big, and the sleeves are laden with heavy bracelets sewn into the fabric of the suit that immediately tightens to the size of your arms. Instantly, a dull sensation comes over you. Your brain fumbles to make a connection with your emotions, but you feel nothing. All of your anxiety and fear slip away, leaving you in a grey, lifeless world where nothing matters. And then, as if you have no will of your own, you think maybe this world is better, less complicated, and that it feels good to feel nothing at all. The door to the chamber swings open. 2 spectres stand waiting in the hall, ghostly psychic soldiers. But you aren't afraid of them, you simply know what they are without harboring any feeling about them whatsoever. The guards seem more like shadows than human beings, waiting for you in their out-of-body forms. You feel drawn to walk between them, your mind unquestioning and your heart still, as they escort you down a dimly lit corridor of roughly hewn stone. They seem to drift on either side of you, but you don't question what you're seeing or where you're headed. After some time, you come to a massive metal door that opens into an immense subway system. A train is just leaving. It appears as if it is moving through a body with no organs, along a spine surrounded by a perfectly round ribcage, lit sporadically with lights. In a moment, the train shoots like a flash of light down the tracks, 1 track above and 1 below, until it is nothing more than a tiny spark in the distance, evaporating into a black hole the size of a pinprick. Like a shaft of light slipping under a doorway, fear grips you and you try to run. But your body is instantly beset with an extraordinary sense of fatigue. At the same time, you have the feeling that your escorts are pleased to see that you have the ability to overcome the suit's suppression of your emotions, even if only for a moment. Droning electromagnetic energy can be heard from the distance, growing louder and louder on your left side, until a single train car appears and slams to a dead stop in front of you, in what seems to be a single moment. Doors silently open, and the 3 of you step into an empty car. In moments, the train is rocketing down the railway, instantly enveloped in darkness, like a terrifying ride in an amusement park. You feel yourself swallowed in hiccuping blackness as the interior light of the car flashes off and then briefly on again. Moments later, the train passes into a remote hole high up in the wall and stops in front of a building which you quickly realize is a prison. Yet you feel nothing. It is as if you are marking off the events on a notepad in your mind. Boarded the train, went to prison, walking to my cell. You are locked in your cell, but you feel totally apathetic.
Hey, I designed those suits, you know,
exclaims an old man's voice from an adjacent cell. You put your hands on the bars of your cell and peer kitty-corner across the hall, where you see the wild visage of a grey-haired man.
Interesting model you're wearing, though,
he says thoughtfully, stroking the small growth of stubble on his chin.
Yes, they must be afraid of you. That or they really don't want you to escape. High priority. Yep.
What do you mean? You ask, your mind fighting back a confusing haze that has you wanting to drift into sleep instead of speaking, thinking, or doing anything at all for that matter.
You can still talk, and ask questions no less.
The man replies in astonishment.
Well, it would seem they made a wise choice. Most people would be a drooling mess by now.
Then, noting your puzzled expression, he adds,
That is a psychosuppressive, hyper-suggestive outfit meant to strip you of your free will even as it clothes you in 100% cotton lining. Everybody around here wears them. Even I am locked in a fibrous jail of my own construction. But yours is special. It was made for extra strength psychic distortion.
You put your head in your hands. It is getting more and more difficult for you to think straight, and now you feel such an urge to fall asleep, you can no longer stay standing. As your knees give way, you slump to the floor in a mental miasma. Your strange world, drifting away to the sound of the old man's voice, chattering blithely onward, as you slip out of his world and into a place somewhere beyond consciousness, where hopefully, you think, you'll be able to finally rest. When you awake, the man is still talking, seemingly unaware that you'd been asleep. You hear his voice before your eyes even open.
So I gave him 2 fingers and a twist, and I said, That's sodden right, you go get your own alien doomsday device. I'll have nothing to do with this insane business. Then I stomped out of his office and into the welcoming arms of his guards. Ah, yes. I suppose I could have handled that better, but anyways, that's how I got to be here with, Oh, you're awake,
he adds as he sees you open your eyes and look at him. Oh, you groan, looking around dazedly. What time is it?
Oh, that's rough, kid. Here, I've got something for you.
The old man throws you a small package which lands just outside of your cell. Reaching groggily for the object, you half expect something horrible to happen as your arm passes between the metal bars framing your cell. But there is nothing, no electric shock, no alarm, just the eerie silence of the prison as you pull the paper and twine-wrapped package into your cell.
It'll help, trust me,
he says. Then, musing quietly, almost to himself, he adds,
What an odd thing to say, trust me, as if those 2 little words should satisfy your discernment. The only people who need to say trust me are probably people you have no business trusting.
Grimacing, you say, You aren't making a very good case for yourself.
Aha! But you see, I am the exception,
he declares jauntily.
Perfectly trustworthy.
You open the package and find a small glass bottle padded on the outside with cotton. You remove the lid, unsure of what to expect, only to find it is a horrible-smelling liquid, and your nose rankles at the pungent scent. Immediately you decide to put the lid back on the bottle and throw it out. But an illogical, intuitive feeling somehow makes it past the grey, non-feeling world that you're in.